What's good, guys? It's your boy Micro, bringing you guys another video. Just some TA, regular shit like we always do. Good luck this week. These stock picks should help you make a lot of money this week, and inshallah, we all get rich this week. So remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. First and foremost, obviously, what we're looking at is Coinbase. With crypto, especially Bitcoin, consolidating and trading sideways for a very, very long amount of time, we definitely could still see, believe it or not, a blow off the top move, right? And that blow off the top move can end up sending coin to places where she really wishes she could go back to, around that maybe 400 range. We'd have to see 300 obviously first. Nonetheless, this is kind of what I see. You know, we had this massive flag. We ended up breaking out of this flag, retesting it just over here. After this retest, we kind of just, took off. We tapped this 264 area, which is just a big area for us to reject from, right? I mean, and coming back down to that 240. Under this 250, I figured we would see this 240. However, I did not play this move, unfortunately. I also think that this is on a really good trend right now, right? If Bitcoin does decide to blow off the top, then we can definitely see a higher move to the upside. All I want to see is a break back over 250. If we end up rejecting here, I think we'll end up breaking this trend, breaking 240, and then probably seeing a little bit lower into the 230 area, possibly 225 area, right? Like that's pretty much what I'd really want to see, is back to this 225 if we do end up breaking down. To the upside, if we do break that 250, obviously I'd love to see this 264 get broken. As you can see, this is just a big point of rejection for us. When we break up heavy, but when we break down heavier. So that's kind of what I'd be looking for. From 264, I'd want to see about 270 area. I think that I could call this relatively fair ground, 268.50 to 270. Above that, I would really like to see this 274.22 and so on and so forth. 276 all the way, possibly breaking into 300 after we pass 285. So that's realistically what I'm looking for on Coinbase, something very short, sweet, and relatively simple. Obviously, I love my lines just like Pablo Escobar, but this Tesla chart looks beautiful. It definitely looks like it's primed for a move, either up or down, right? I mean, we've been trading sideways since the beginning of May. I mean, this is over a month of consolidation, basically. Obviously, we've had great days, right, where we've seen Tesla move up and we've seen it move down within the same breath. However, we really have not gotten that move yet, right? Like what we're expecting with Tesla. Tesla has these specific moves that tend to break the internet sometimes. So we're just really in this big tight flag. I mean, there's not really much action and much else we can do from this specific point. Really, all I'd want to see is a break over 180, a hold over 180 to push us into this 186.50. After this 186.50, see this 190, possibly even going back to retest this 200 level, right? This is where we broke down very heavy from. You see we rejected it again. Now we're consolidating. We also consolidated within this area at that time as well. However, at this point, we are holding this 173 level. So that's what I would like to see to the upside. To the downside, I'd like to see this 173.18 get broken. After this 173.18, I'd like to see 170, right? 171 area would be relatively nice and smooth. Here, though, I do think this 170.28 will end up giving us a very fast move to the downside. That should quickly be recovered, right? Around this 168 area, 167, 60 area. So realistically, I'd really like to see this 167, 165 area in order for us to continue building and possibly breaking up higher after that. However, if we don't and we continue to see downside, then 160 would definitely be our biggest line in the sand. And I guess technically we're not really that far off from the bottom there, and obviously from the top as well. So we'll just kind of have to see what happens, but that's kind of my plan with Tesla. So I'm not going to be charting NVIDIA because they do have a 10-to-1 stock split tomorrow. So we're going to end up seeing the price of NVIDIA be cut into 10 pieces, right? So currently it's trading at 1200, so we should see it open at about 120. I personally believe that we will see some downside, right? Usually when a stock split happens, just like when it happened with Tesla, we ended up seeing a lot of downside over the next couple days, I think even weeks. And after that, we ended up seeing some more interest in it, and the volume pretty much evaporated. That's kind of how it went. So we're gonna have to see. People are gonna continue to buy Nvidia, obviously, but we're gonna have to see exactly what happens and what the reaction is. My initial thought is to go short, but we'll just have to see again how the market reacts to it. There were people buying at 1200. I'm sure people would love to buy when it's at 120, right? So we'll just kind of have to see what happens. But just some quick thoughts on Nvidia. This will be a name that we will continuously be trading, as now the premium contracts or the premiums on the contracts are a lot more manageable, right? So we'll be able to trade this a little bit more. But again, just wanted to give some quick thoughts on Nvidia. Now, one of the next names that we're going to be looking at is ARM. Obviously, this is the manufacturer for all of the semiconductors, right? Or a vast majority of them, rather. These people are the ones who actually create the cards and load them with the technology that they all have on them for them to be distributed, right? So this is a relatively important company for us to look at, especially post split with NVIDIA tomorrow. Honestly, I think this also goes down with NVIDIA. I really would not doubt that. As you can see from our bottom here, even on earnings, we really did not do much. We bounced back pretty heavily, but other than that, it was not that big of a move, right? And this name has been slowly grinding up. Days where there was some inside bars, not really breaking up or down. So honestly, I would be looking for a short on this name, and my main target would probably be this 117, 118 area. As you can see, there was, a vast majority of support here. As you can see, there was a vast majority of support here. And from here, if we end up breaking down, we would end up seeing this 110, 108 area, in my opinion. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. However, if we do decide to break up, I'd like to see this 142.93, this 142.93 into this 145, this 145 going back into 148, 148 obviously into 150, and then break to all-time highs. I would love, again, to see this 110, even this 100 level, right? I think that would be a relatively safe bet and mark to make. However, this 117 would be my first target, and this would be my absolute target, would be this 108.80. So that's kind of what we're looking for on ARM. Another big name that everybody obviously loves is Netflix. This is absolutely fucking crazy, right? We saw a massive earnings drop. From this earnings drop, we've actually recovered everything and some, which is a very wild thought considering earnings were just April 24th, right? And currently, as I'm recording this, it's Sunday, June 9th. So we've definitely made a vast recovery, right? Now, based on where we are now, where do we go? Really what we'd want to see is this right here. I guess at some point this was technically all-time highs, right? 641.03, or the 640 level. That's really what we'd like to see hold. If we don't see that hold, we definitely will see this 634.85. If that doesn't hold, 624.46 is the next on my cards, right? At some point, all of these points were all-time highs. So respectively, you'd have to use those as some forms of support based off of previous data of people selling at these places. And then when it ends up breaking above and people start buying at these places, we end up seeing higher moves, right? So These were all at some point all-time highs, and we need to respect these levels and base these as levels of what could be support and what also could be resistance. Moving on from that, um, yeah, that's really what I'd like to see is this 625 if we do end up breaking down again. 625 should take us lower to that 615, possibly to that 610. But that's really, really what I like to see is this 625 again. Now, if we decide to continue to break up, then I'd like to see 645 from 645 to 650, 650 to 655.34, 655.34 to 658, then 658 to 665. That's what I'd like to see. Then we go back into price discovery mode, right? So that's really what I'd like to see on Netflix. Something plain, something simple. I mean, it looks like we're setting up in an inverse head and shoulders here, right? You got the left shoulder, you got the head, and you maybe have the right shoulder forming for us to continue to break to all-time highs. So really look out for that. This 650 break should really tell us that story. If we get this intraday, I think the biggest trigger would be the 650-180. In my opinion. So watch out for 651.80 breaking during intraday for us to possibly have a move up higher on Netflix. Well, Miss IWM. Okay, so I'm currently in calls, right? Looking at this chart does not look the best. It does not look like that is the best side to be in right now. It definitely looks like we are going to go lower. However, I am banking on this descending wedge, even though I do see a possible head and shoulders also, right? So I'm kind of indifferent right now, just up until we break this 200. Once we break this 200, I will try to play this down to this 197.12 or this 198.64 to try to recover what I lost based off of this long position. However, I would love to see this 205 break, or this 204, I'm sorry, break into this 205.50. It's 205.50 to this 206.38, 206.38 to 207.05, and then seeing this 208. This would be my ultimate target. I will probably start scaling out over here as I did buy more contracts for me to average down. So that's really what I'm looking for to the upside. To the downside, 200 breaks. Again, 198.64, 197.12, and then 194.86 is what I'd like to see. So we're swinging for a couple weeks out. We still have about three weeks, I believe, 2 to 3 weeks on these contracts. So we'll just have to see kind of what happens within these next 2 to 3 weeks. We just did hit all-time highs on SPY and QQQ. So we'll have to see if there's some pullback in the entire market. Again, Nvidia splitting. There's people who are going to be taking equity out, etc. All of these different things. So these are all factors we have to consider, especially being in the position that I'm currently in, right? Especially because I'm long in this uncertain time of whether to be long or not. So that's kind of what I'm looking for on IWM with some extra added thoughts. So a lot of people tend to not really pay too much attention to Google, and honestly, I don't know why, and I'm one of those people. But this looks like one of the most beautiful setups, and it's one of the best setups that I've seen in a very, very great while. If we hold this 174.76, 175 area, we will create a right shoulder for this inverse head and shoulders, and we will take the fuck off. My main target, honestly, would probably be around this 180 if we end up, holding this 175. If we don't hold this 175, I do see us going down to this 173 17 level, then 171.96. So call it 172, possibly even 170, right? That's really a big possibility as well. Honestly, this might not be a bad level to add to your chart, this 170.68. Yeah, I really would like to see this 180. This 180 break should take us back to all-time highs. So we just need 175 to hold. I mean, this is quite literally one of the cleanest setups that we are going to see for a good minute. So, yeah, 175 holds, target 180. If not 180, 178.61. If 175 does not hold, target 173.17, and then 171.96, and then I said 170.68, right? I believe that's what I said, 170.68, around this area. So that's what I'd look for on Google. Extremely simple.